to be honest, when you look out the window and you see this, it's kind of hard to find your motivation, isn't it? Your first instinct isn't to grab a backpack and head outside for a rainy adventure. It's to pour another cup of coffee, maybe crawl underneath your blanket and settle in for a long afternoon indoors. But some of the most amazing trail magic actually happens on those days that the fair weather hikers stay home. So today, we're going to be talking about how to find your motivation to get outside and find that fantastic adventure on those wet weather days. Here in the Pacific Northwest, if we waited for nice sunny days to head outside, well, we would spend probably 9 months out of the year on the couch, which is great for binge watching your favorite shows or YouTube channels. But it's not very inspiring when it comes to finding hiking adventures. But there are some tips and tricks that you can do to guarantee you have a much better experience out there on those cold, wet days. And that's what we're going to get into today. Right now, we all have heard the term be bold, start cold, right? On a summer day hike, you get up early in the morning and it's a little chilly outside, but you know it's going to warm up as your hike goes on. The same thing applies for these wintry, rainy days. Once you get into your hike and your body starts warming up and that core heat starts to develop, the last thing you want to do is get sweaty on a day like this where you're trying to control moisture from the outside. You don't want to have to fight it from the inside as well. Now, I highly recommend going with a synthetic base layer, something that's nice and moisture wicking, lightweight, and helps pull that moisture away from your body. I also like to put on a nice wool shirt. The wool is great because even if it gets a little wet, wool reacts well with water, and it actually acts as an insulating feature while pulling the moisture away from your body. Then you've got your nice mid layer. This year I've actually been trying out using a windbreaker, and that's been working great for me, but there is the good old-fashioned standby of a fleece. You can't go wrong with a nice fleece jacket. Then of course, you should always have a raincoat with you. Even if the rain isn't currently happening, it's probably going to rain. Make sure you're prepared. With a raincoat, it's great if you can find one that has the moisture control pit zips, right? You can zip them up or zip them down to allow the moisture to come in or out as needed, help regulate that body temperature. Now, depending on just how cold and wet it really is, you might also consider a pair of rain pants. I always have a pair of rain pants in my pack, and recently this year, I've had to pull them out more often than I realized. Now, another item that I have been testing out and finally have a pair to try out, and I'll tell you guys how it goes, is waterproof shoes. I picked up this nice pair of Danner trail runners. They are super comfortable, they are waterproof, and I'll let you know how they go as I use them in my adventures. But this is going to be a fun new trial for me. Okay, so we've protected ourselves. Now, let's protect our gear also from the elements. If you don't have a waterproof backpack, that's fine. There are some very simple, economical options out there. This is my Big Agnes Impassable 20. It's not waterproof, but what I do is I protect all of my gear in Ziploc bags, stuff sacks, and a garbage bag. I tend to go a little overkill, but that's just me. What you can do for your electronics or your emergency gear, I highly recommend the handy dandy household Ziploc bag. It doesn't get much simpler and secure than a Ziploc bag. It's waterproof. Then I stuff it inside a stuff sack, which is also waterproof, just for good measure. Yes, it's a little overkill. And then I put it inside my pack liner for an extra layer of protection. Now, you can spend a lot of money on pack liner bag, or you can just use your household garbage bag, and that's all you need. Now, some backpacks come with a backpack rain cover, and those are a pretty neat feature too. I personally have never used one, but they're pretty self-explanatory. It's just an outer shell that goes across your backpack and protects it from the elements. Whatever you decide, make sure you protect your important gear, your phones, your batteries, and your dry clothes, because the last thing you want to do is have a soggy mess inside your backpack when you're expecting to have something that's warm and safe and secure. Summertime and sunny weather hiking is all about epic views. There's beautiful sceneries when you're out on a mountain bluff and you're overlooking a valley, or you've got Mount Rainier cascading in the background, and it's just beautiful, right? Basking in the sunshine and the heat and the warmth of the day. Well, on a rainy, dreary day, when you're sitting at the trailhead in your vehicle, windshield wipers going, the rain's coming down, it is really hard to find your motivation to just get out there and go. So what I recommend is change your perspective entirely, right? Stop worrying about that destination. Stop worrying about what views am I going to see when I get there. And instead, in this rainy weather hiking, our focus needs to shift towards the fields, the valleys, the trees around you, and the moss, maybe mushrooms coming up off the ground. But this time of year, the forest comes alive with beauty. The moss just glows a brilliant green that can't compare to anything when the water's on it. Everything is completely different when it's wet or damp in the forest. Focus on those small, beautiful things that you see, not the bigger, epic views that you're not gonna see on a rainy day. Changing your focus also means changing your motivation. Now, if you have kids, you understand how important motivation is. If you're like me, you may pack snacks or treats, and when your kids start whining that their feet are tired or their legs are sore, I can't do it anymore, give them a little gummy or a piece of fruit or just something to take their mind off the hike. Focus on more of the excitement, and it works really well. Well, folks, we're no different. We're just like our kids. We need to be motivated, just motivated differently. I recommend setting small milestones on your hike. Focus on that first mile. Maybe focus on that first rest break where you know you're going to get to stop and take a little break and relax. Tell yourself, I'm going to just go for 15 minutes. If I'm still miserable, I'll give myself permission to turn around. Chances are, once you get moving, once you get walking, you're going to warm up and you're going to find the beauty that's around you despite the weather. And you're going to realize that you're actually enjoying your adventure. But that brings us to those personal rewards. And it is critical that we reward ourselves for a job well done, right? Ooh, like this view here. Check this out. And no, the irony is not lost on me that here I am talking about rainy, cold weather hikes, and it's turning into an absolutely beautiful day. But I guess that kind of drives home the point here, right? Here in the Pacific Northwest, you never know what you're going to get. So just because it's a cold, miserable day when you start out, doesn't mean it isn't going to turn out to be just a stunning afternoon. I think I found my motivation for the day. In addition to finding your motivation and little rewards, I highly recommend leveling up on your snacks too, right? Take those granola bars or that trail mix or the cold, boring food and leave that at home. On a rainy, cold adventure, you're gonna want something warm and comforting. today we took it to a whole new level. Ordinarily I'd make a cup of coffee, boil up lunch, but to keep it simple, why not treat yourself to something special and have a nice hot cup of tomato soup on the trail? I can't think of a better way to warm the spirits and warm the soul than fresh tomato soup and crackers. Now, for my Filipino friends, they know what skyflakes are and they totally understand the value of this. For those of you who aren't familiar, skyflakes are essentially a saltine cracker. Nice and buttery and rich. You dip that in some creamy tomato soup. It's a perfect combination. By packing a hot lunch or a hot snack, it gives you something to look forward to on kind of those colder, wetter sections of your hike. That is a great reward for you. It gives you something to know that I just need to get up around that next bend, and when I stop and take my break, I'm going to have something warm and hearty and comforting. It gives me something to look forward to and gives me a little bit more motivation to just take a few more steps down the trail when you don't necessarily want to. So before we get to that last tip, I want to throw in a shameless plug for the channel. And I want to ask you to remember to hit that subscribe button and a notification. I upload new content every Wednesday. I greatly appreciate the support. Okay, we've made it to our destination for this hike. The idea was to get out here to the point that you can only access during certain low tides. But look at that amazing view out there of Mount Rainier. Okay, we really got lucky today. It was supposed to be pouring down rain, and I've only had, maybe 20 minutes of rain for each hour I've been out here. It's been so amazingly nice, but was not my plan. Like I said earlier, I had every intention of being out here in a pouring down rainstorm just to prove a point that you can still have a good time. Our lucky day. The last tip I want to talk about might seem a little trivial, but it's actually for the post-hike. And think about this. You've been out there all afternoon, maybe for a couple of days even, and you're just drenched, you're cold, you're tired. You get back to your car. What's the one thing that you don't want to do? You don't want to sit in your cold, soggy, wet, or damp clothes for a long drive home. I highly recommend you pack yourself a car comfort kit as well. Keep it in your car, and then it's there for you when you need it. Have a nice change of clothes. Comfortable shirt, new pair of pants, some nice warm, soft socks, and an easy pair of slippers or just loose-fitting shoes. You might even consider throwing in a towel, or like what I do is I put a thermos in there so I know that I'm going to have piping hot coffee when I get back to the trailhead. These simple 6 tips are going to guarantee you're going to have a better time out there regardless of what the weather is like. Even the most dreary, soggy day has some amazing beauty in it. So the next time you're thinking about skipping that rainy day hike just because the weather isn't really what you want, I hope you find your motivation to get out there on the trail and have that adventure anyways. And until next time, folks, I hope to see you out there on the trail soon. Let's go for a walk.